Hello, everyone. I am Krystle Chats, and this is the Healthy Gossip Podcast. This is episode 15, and we're at the Comedy Pop-Up Studio. Follow us, like us, subscribe, all that great stuff.
That's legit podcast number. Like I feel like the first. I feel like when you've done 3, you don't know if it's really up, but 15, you're like in it.
Yeah, that's
you're
literally
in it
like
to win
it's
it.
the threshold, right?
Exactly, exactly. I'm the first guest once this podcast has become official. This is real now, 14 episodes and the person's like, is this worth it anymore? But 15 and you're like, all right, we have a podcast.
Well, making his grand entrance, I'd like to say that my guest is... What am I going to call you? Well, first of all, he's a comedian.
Oh, thank you.
Comic character, Mr. Josh Edelman.
Thank you very much.
Round of applause. And of course...
I was very curious, like, what other things you considered calling me.
No, I mean, well, because I've always... Your first impression that I had of you was very...
Negative. It was. I think the first time you saw me, I opened up with that joke about not liking listening to anyone. Do you
yes. Well, first of all, anytime you're going to meet a comic at a deli, or not a deli, it was a sandwich shop, and then he gets up there. Can I tell him your joke that you did?
Well, I could tell it.
Oh, wait, and I have Alex Kahn, the on-air producer, in the building as well. Set, I've had to introduce you before some voice comes dropping in. Yeah. He's
confusing voice. I'm off camera.
Are you
on air?
Are you the regular producer?
I'm one of them. I've been here a while. Yeah.
Okay, so you've been on other episodes
of her show. Yeah, I'm not the regular. Whenever we shoot for it, Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I try to make it's because my first 2, like you said, trial and error episodes. It was just him and me. I wish I would have known. I could have been like, hey, bro, why don't you sit
over
in
there?
The picture with me?
Wait, so you were just talking to the camera? You were like trying to Bill Burr, and he would... and
he would just drop in.
That's how a lot of them start. You don't see my face much, but...
Well, I was on Chad Zumach's podcast,
Zumach.
and then he told Paul to sit in frame, and I was like, I didn't know we could do that.
Oh, that's a good point.
So, yeah, and think maybe in the next one, I'm going to just, if I wasn't late, I'd be like, hey, you, over here.
Over here.
So, yeah. His joke was basically like, did you ever listen to your setback?
No, tell it.
I'll do it in a not butchered way.
If I'm gonna burn material, let it.
So it's honestly, the funny thing is, it's my legitimate favorite opener, but it's only for open mics.
Of course.
Because people at a regular show wouldn't understand what I'm talking about. But if I'm opening an open mic, it's my favorite way to open. And I usually don't do it if I'm at one where everyone is terrible, because then I feel bad.
Well, thank you.
Krystle's taking some selfies.
Was that a compliment? This is a video. Go, keep telling us. Keep telling us.
I've never seen this joke. That's
okay. Ready?
No,
and go.
The joke is I walk up on stage and I also will be setting up my phone to record, and then I'll ask the audience. I'll be like, "Do you guys the other comics? Do you guys record your sets?" And then people everyone says yes, and then I go, "Let me ask you guys a question because I'm worried I'm the only one who feels this way. When you guys listen back to the recordings, do you guys hate listening to yourself as much as I hate listening to you guys?" And usually once I say, do you guys hate listening to yourself, before I even get to the punchline, a bunch of people just start going, yes, yes, like preach, and then they hear the final part. And you know what? I think it's also a good litmus test for how
much attention they're paying.
Well, no, how confident they are in themselves, because it's usually, and Krystle said she didn't know me at all.
No,
Usually people know me, but usually
I think I'd seen you before.
Okay.
That wasn't the first time I've seen you, but that's the first time that I probably had went up after you or something.
But I find
then it was just great. And
usually the good comics in the room really laugh at it, and the people who are very rough get they're like, I'm not laughing at anything this guy says for the rest of his set.
They're on it. They get frayed.
I just think it was really funny because that same mic, there was that one comic, basically me and another guest talked shit about her for probably 15 minutes on his episode. But she was there that day too, and I remember that was the first time I've seen her. That was the girl who talks about plants.
Oh,
don't say her name.
Yeah, but I think I like her.
Well, no, and you have to listen to the episode. Basically, she hit a punchline at Bert's, and no one laughed. And she like freaked out. She was like, ah! And then basically, it was Paul. No, it wasn't Paul. I'm not even going to say his name. That was the universe protecting me for not saying his name. But basically, she yelled out and was like, because I guess you know how I'm not going to say his name. I can't say his name. Basically, he just sits there with his arms crossed, and she was like, what's wrong with you? And she like heckled from the stage, I guess is what we were calling it. So it was just, and then that was the first time I've ever seen her freak out, and I don't know. It was an interesting.
That's the best part of open mics.
It's funny.
I do it sometimes too. I love it.
I have to remind myself of what I felt like really early on getting up. Because like really early on getting up, it didn't matter how shitty the mic was. I was incredibly nervous. You know, it like took like...
How many years has it been for you?
It's a very difficult question to answer. I'll jump into that confusing answer in a second. But when I see people getting up at Bert's and feeling like really stressed out, I feel like on one hand I empathize, and I also just want to be like, don't worry about it. This is not the
stakes can't
the
be
stakes
any
can't
lower.
Be lower.
You paid to be here. Yeah.
You're going to bomb because nobody's even paying attention.
Yeah.
And if you are crushing, it's because we've all built this weird rapport in the very beginning where we're just all this camaraderie of just... Because to me, it always happens in the later mics.
And open mics have the silent contract of if nobody laughed at you, you're not laughing at anyone. You see everyone go and make that silent contract. I watch them fight my laughs. I watch them fight them. Sit there like their lips trembling, trying not to.
I try to be the nicest. Like, I always want to be the nicest guy in the room as long as I can. It's hard to do forever, but...
Well, I also think it's funny because like I sit there the whole time watching everyone get up and be like, well, fuck you guys, blah, blah, blah,
I
blah,
hate
blah.
that.
And I'm just like, dude, it's Bert. Who gives a shit? Then I get up there and I start bombing. Like, fuck you guys, pieces of shit.
I'm sure this happened to you 100 times where you're somewhere in the late end of the lineup and you're not hosting, and you're just like, oh, this will be fine. And the closer you get, them like just you take the whole thing for granted because normally it's you start your energy. So yeah, it's a good time. Sorry, I don't know why I jumped in. I'm stoned.
I love it. I'm the appropriate podcast to be stoned on. I work in a dispensary. If you didn't.
Oh, really?
Know that. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh, she. Is it? Have you talked about it yet?
Yeah,
I've
cookies?
been going. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah!
You work at
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is that what that sweater people wear that says cookies on it?
Yeah.
Is that from your dispensary?
It's from our store.
It's from your store. The guy whose show I'm on tonight was wearing a cookie sweater at the Bert's I was doing the other day.
Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah,
that's a very cool sweater. Frank Castillo I've seen wearing.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're because he's a famous rapper who owns that dispensary.
Oh, okay, cool.
And
That's a really dope sweater.
And the location is crazy because it's right there, like basically on almost Melrose Place. So it's like it's cool.
I've sort of quit smoking pot. I didn't officially quit smoking pot. I just kind of stopped.
Well, that actually would be a nice little segue into one of the chunks that I wanted to talk to you. But do you want to answer the how long you've been doing comedy question first, or do you want to get into it?
Sure. I mean, like the short, easy answer. I feel like if I like really think about it, I just like to say 3 years. I feel like it's fair. I feel like it's a fair thing to say. The long answer is I did it for like the first time around 12 years ago.
We have a very similar story.
And then I was like only doing bringer shows, and then I quit completely, like because I got a nighttime job. Oh, and then I didn't pick it up until a year ago.
Cool.
A year ago, September.
Wow.
And this year has been the only year I've done it right, where I've like been going every day, multiple times a day, writing every day, working hard. But also in the 11 years in between, I was a professional magician in New York. I had a magic show. I was more of a...
I went to a magic comedy show in Vegas this just
Oh, really?
past trip.
Who was it? Amazing Jonathan?
He was downtown. The official.
It wasn't the Amazing Jonathan, though.
No.
Oh, he's.
Do you remember? Did you see whose show I was at?
No, I didn't.
He's one of my comedy heroes.
Steve Byrne just directed like a
Yeah,
piece
yeah,
on
yeah, yeah.
The Amazing Jonathan. Yeah.
So the other thing I did.
Official Hammer.
Okay.
Do you know who that is? Yeah.
First name? It's not Mike, is it?
Yes.
You went to, I know where you stayed. Were you staying there?
No, I wasn't staying there, but Mike Hammer. Yeah, you know who that is?
No, so I know because when we did the Griffin downtown, we stayed at that hotel where that guy was. What is it? What hotel was it? Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I like this.
Mike Hammer. He's he looked awful.
Four Queens.
Four Queens.
I recognize the name.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought it was a cute show, but I think it's also because
Did the juggling taxi open for him?
No, he didn't have an opener.
Okay.
But yeah, so he was a professional magician for a couple of years in New York, and I was much more of a comedian than magician. Had more jokes than I did, and I had a regular show, so that feels like that counts as comedy stage time, even though it wasn't stand-up specific. Then I made a web series when I was out here that was like a comedy web series. And then I made I spent 2 years making a documentary on this comedian hero of mine where like I followed him around for like 2 years.
You're going to tell us who?
This guy named Al Lubell.
Okay.
Either of you guys heard of Al Lubell?
No. I mean, maybe. But what's his claim to fame?
So he won Star Search in the 80s.
Okay.
He was one of the last comics to appear on Carson before Leno took over.
Wow.
He'd been on Leno like 6 times, Letterman like 7 times. I might be wrong with those numbers, but something around there. And for all extensive purposes, he should be a huge star. He's the funniest, like when people ask me who my favorite comic is, I'm like, well, like Dave Chappelle, Bill Burr, Norm Macdonald. But like my real favorite's this guy you've never heard of named Al Lubell.
I can't believe you got to follow him around. Like, how was that experience?
It was amazing. It was weird. I mean, I'm like very good friends with him now.
And where does he live now?
He lives in England now. He was living in LA when I made the documentary. Okay. But also in following him around for 2 years, I got like a real up close look at his process, and I felt like it really helped me in like a very it felt he wasn't mentoring me, but like it just felt like almost.
Well, to give you a compliment, you definitely feel like you've been doing comedy longer than
thank you.
You
thank
have
you,
been.
Krystle.
You're welcome.
I appreciate that. I think you're hilarious. I think you're hilarious, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you. So that's cool. What was I going to say about that? Okay. Well, that's awesome. And then did you ever put it out? Did you ever make the actual film?
It's premiering at a film fest. It's going to have its first
way!
At sometime between September 25th and 28th.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, that definitely counts because
you should do a viewing party and do magic.
Maybe
you should.
It's a stand-up. It's a stand-up documentary. I feel like stand-up.
My bad. I was thinking he was a magician. Never mind. Yeah. Well, you should do stand-up for it, but you should do it. You should seriously do a viewing party.
Al's going to be back in LA for like 2 weeks or so in November, and he's going to be on a bunch of shows. So I'm going to try and like promote people to come out and see him because he's a very strange guy, but he's the most brilliant, funniest person I've ever seen.
I have to check him out. And then for me, the same thing as if I did it because we're close in age. Wait, are you 32? 31?
I'm 34.
34? Okay, I'm 32.
Okay, wow, you look great for 32. I'm sure
you.
Everyone tells you that when you tell them you're 32.
Sometimes, yeah. But
sometimes does anyone be like, "Oh, I had you older"?
I thought you were 34.
But thank you, I appreciate
that.
What
cream are you using?
Simply Divine Botanicals. No,
Simply Divine Botanicals. Simply Divine Botanicals. You should sponsor this podcast.
Is it hemp based or CBD based?
No, but it's definitely very hippie. Like you can only get it at like certain places and obviously Amazon. But I've been using it for a long time.
I had Krystle like aesthetically low mid 20s and but emotionally like teens. No, I'm kidding.
No, emotionally, teens and like early 50s. I'm both. I always tell people that. I'm like, I can be a 19-year-old or I can be 47. So whatever you want. And I actually haven't been doing mics this past I went to Vegas with my dad and
Did you do any shows?
I did not.
See, because LA has like twisted my mind so deeply. When I saw your Insta stories from Vegas, I was like, either that's Krystle's dad or her sugar dad.
You know what? Everyone says that too about whenever we were there. Like normally people are like, oh, is that your boyfriend? But no one did it this time.
Oh, really?
So I don't know if I just really. Oh, well, it actually happened at the My Camera show. That was a cool compliment because he he looked at us and he was like, "Is this your dad?" And I said, "Yes." So then he pulls me up as one of his
guests.
Yeah. And then he goes, "How old are you?" And I said, 32. The whole crowd gasps. They're like, I know. And he goes, "Wow." He was like, "I was just making sure you're of age for when I touch you." And I was like, wow. I was like, "Thank you." Like, no. And then like he just kept flirting with me the whole show. So
The
that's probably
hammer.
why I like the show. Oh, yeah.
The hammer.
Yeah.
And your dad's white and your mom is Asian?
Filipino.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
also you're walking around with like an old white guy and you look Asian.
Exactly.
So like the other, my childhood best friend's dad.
Oh, no.
No one I know will. None of these people will listen to this, but he. And I'm not going to name any names. His dad just like up and left his wife and married like a Taiwanese prostitute.
Wow.
Moved to Taiwan.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, see, you know what though?
Healthy gossip.
Exactly. Thank you. No, exactly. My only rule is I try, like, whenever I talk about people, especially that I'm dating, is I don't drop names. The guy at my work actually was just talking about that. He was dating his baby mama for 3 months, and they got pregnant.
Big Mama, is that sugar?
Baby mama.
Baby Mama.
Yeah, baby mama.
Oh.
This is his girlfriend. He got her pregnant, and then, but now his whole thing is that they're not having sex because he said when they were having sex that they. She has this look on her face like she doesn't want to be there. So, well, right? So he's like, so I'm making it a point, like, and not until she wants to do it or whatever. And I guess the guys are, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I guess it's your sexual prime in your mid-20s, right? Like,
Oh, yeah, probably.
Well, like from like 16 to 30.
I think it's later 20s now. I really do.
Really?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with what we eat, but I think it's later. Sorry,
Okay.
go ahead.
I was just having this conversation with people yesterday. See, I think that's really interesting because I've always found the girl to be, in my experiences, the more sexually aggressive.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
like
good.
they
Well,
need it more. I
congratulations.
always find in movies, like when they're like, well, I'm just going to withhold the sex until da-da-da. I'm like, I'm just always thinking, well, good luck with me.
You can't, yeah.
I got a lot of practice having sex withheld from me. I'm like the Michael Jordan of not having sex.
My dad,
Maybe like the Charles Barkley, but
I had a very
God.
like my dad's house growing up. They like dirty joke, like it was a very open, dirty environment. Like it was just jokes. And my stepmom made some comment along the lines at one point of like, hold out on you. And he goes, "You can't starve someone that's hungrier than you."
Exactly,
And like
exactly.
that has stuck with me my whole life.
That is
Exactly,
so good.
exactly. I hear so much more from girls in their relationships that they feel like they're not having enough sex than I hear from guys in their relationships that I hear them sometimes being like, she needs it too much.
He needs to
But
chill out.
you also have to consider that we're comics.
Yes.
So we are like
So girls
a
are
lot of the-
emboldened to speak more than men are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that were around, like even if we're not really taking into consideration, are like not the norm. Because I know a lot of girls don't think like I think about sex, or if they do, they're not willing to say it out loud and that will make a nice transition into one of the things that I wanted to talk about today is, so guess what? I twice in the past 2 weeks have said incel to two people that didn't even know what it was.
Okay, did you know what it was before I started doing my bit?
Yes, but I only knew what it was because somebody else said it, and then
In their bit, Jeremy McKiernan's bit?
maybe.
I always love following Jeremy because it's such a nice lead-in to my version of the bit because they're very different, but...
I don't know if I know his bit.
Oh, it's really good. He has a great bit about incels. I don't want to butcher it, but
Okay.
go check out Jeremy on my show on Saturday at the Fourth Wall.
Okay, cool. Maybe I'll go. Oh yeah, that's what I didn't. I didn't get to finish that thought earlier. Like this past couple of weeks, I've been busy creating more content, like doing love shit. Like I might talk about that a little later. I'll ask for you guys' advice.
Nice.
And so
That's like the funny thing. I always, It's always funny. Like, I feel like I'm so much better at giving advice than taking my own advice. I could like tell anyone how to handle their relationships, but I never would listen to the things I say. And I also think it's funny when like guys who are like bad with girls ask their friends who are great with girls for advice, because I'm always like, the things that work for the guy who's great with girls aren't gonna work for you.
Exactly.
Like a super hot guy that's like, ignore him, treat him like shit. Like a short, fat, gross dude, like ignoring women and treating them like shit is gonna go to jail or just be ignored.
Exactly.
It's like LeBron James like giving me basketball advice, like just fucking back him into the hole and then dunk on him. Like, why don't you just do that? It's not.
I posted that on Instagram the other day. I was super stoned, and this girl called me up who has already been. She's a mom, already been married and divorced, and she was like, "Oh, I just don't know if I'm ready to be engaged again." And I'm like, well, congratulations. I've never been engaged, so I really don't know what you want me to say to that. You know what I mean? Like, ooh, sounds tough.
But someone who's getting engaged again, like, look, it'd be very easy for you to get engaged, Krystle. You just don't want to get engaged to any of the people you could be engaged to.
You know, touche. I definitely had told, a customer said that the other day. He was like, "Where's your ring?" And I was like, "I'm a runner, sir. I run in the opposite direction of men."
Independent woman. It's what keeps you so young.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Actually, is I'm actually.
You don't look in the mirror and see the clock running out.
No, maybe my ovaries do, but I'm actually.
Are you trying to have kids? Do you want kids?
Well, I always tell people that I don't. It's a nice idea, but biologically, if I run out of time, like, what am I going to do about it? Like, I don't have any desire to freeze my eggs.
Really?
Like, no.
My roommate's doing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should maybe edit that out.
Well, I have a very close friend who did it too. And I love it. Yeah, whoops. Yeah, you just forget that we're being.
Their names are Jenny and Veronica, guys.
Exactly.
No,
She doesn't
I'm
even
kidding.
come to my comedy shows, so it's not like she's going to listen to my podcast.
She is going to get a text from somebody. Is it true?
Yeah. Well, so that's how I see it, though. I'm like, is it a nice idea? Of course. Like, you know, I crave it. You can put your phone right here.
Oh no, sorry.
Okay.
I don't need to see.
And then so that's my whole thing is I want them, sure, but if I run out of time because I'm living this life, like, I'm not going to complain because I was trying to do stand-up comedy.
Would you ever adopt, do you think? Like, if you run out of time?
It depends, because financially, like, I might never financially be able to afford, you know, having a kid, even if I wanted to adopt it.
These are some crazy genes up here that I need to hand down.
Right.
You gotta hand them down. You gotta hand down five. You can't let 5'6" go to waste. You gotta hand that down,
People
Josh.
always think of the physical genes, but what about the
Here's the thing
intellectual
Here's the
genes?
thing is there are much.
Right.
My grandpa was a scientist. My
There are
dad's a
far
doctor.
more. There are. I'm gonna be.
Got intellectual genes to spread. Got a bunch of artists in the family.
I had a guy tell me that. He goes, "Yeah, man." He's like, "With your like young aging genes and my wit and sense of humor." I was like, "Fuck you, bro." I'm a comedian too.
My kid will be so smart he can figure out how to be an NBA player.
See, I feel like. You know what's funny is I feel like
Figure out the math of the basketball
Who
court.
do I gotta fuck? No, he's gonna procreate, and then
I feel like an artist is so set on leaving a legacy already that if you're dating a comic, you're gonna be like the side, like you're going to be Plan B, or just an artist, but like you're like they're like working on their own legacy, and they're like, yeah, you can contribute to my children. To you have some, you're not worthless, but like I'm giving them the bulk of the.
The idea of creative relationships is definitely complicated. I look at like Kristen Wiig. Her, like, she got divorced, and like her husband's this actor, and it's like, you know, his reels on YouTube.
Miley and her man.
It's like one person, like, you know, you want nothing but success for the person you're with, but you know, you want simultaneous success, really, and it comes in waves. Sometimes you see someone who's like really succeeded and the other person hasn't, but then that person just skyrockets past them on like a moment's notice.
Miley Cyrus and her man split this week.
Yeah.
And then, and this is actually going to be dropping this coming a week from yesterday. So it's good because sometimes I record episodes and they don't come out for 2 weeks, and I hate that.
Oh, so none of you guys come to the Fourth Wall show last Saturday. Come see me and Jeremy at the Fourth Wall with Reed last Saturday.
I forgot. Yeah, well, do you have anything that you want to plug for the following week?
Hold on. We have somebody important coming. Morgan's going to be here next week. He's going to have a lot to do. So 3 weeks ago, three Saturdays. I'm just pushing you back.
I know Morgan J.
Yeah.
I know him from New York. We did a UCB class together in New York like years and years and years
That's
ago.
so fun. Isn't that so fun to see like where everyone ends up?
Where people go.
Or if we're still in it, is even better.
Well, I, like during the period where I really wasn't doing stand-up, I was focusing much more on the film career. I was watching Morgan like just doing all the comedy stuff. Getting to where he is today.
So this is going to be released on the 19th. So if you have anything that following week, like Tuesday.
Yeah, booked a lot. So.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Look, if you're in the Inland Empire and you want to catch these jokes.
Yeah, exactly.
Be at Bert's back room.
Yes.
Catch me at Tribal Cafe.
I open my Instagram and I see my camera. It's so funny. Okay, so...
To the beginning of the pod. Oh, okay.
Anna was going to say the thing about dating artists is I was dating this guy who it was interesting because he, me, I'm a comic trying to be host, whatever, and he was a poker player and also a snowboarder. So it's like interesting because I was looking at his Instagram and he has a bunch of stuff that doesn't really require him to speak. And I thought that was kind of cool, like the yin and the yang. Like, I was like, oh, look, I get to do all the talking.
Like, he might be socially retarded underneath all that.
Right, exactly. Which he's not, luckily. But I just thought it was funny because one time I did FaceTime him while he was, like, at a poker table. And I was just like, and he won't talk. And he'll, like, text back. And I'm like, this is gold.
This seems ideal. It's like,
yeah.
It's like, I like funny people, but I love quiet laughers.
Oh, that's so bad. And I have like the worst laugh in like Los Angeles.
No.
Actually, there is one lady who's worse than me. I heard her the other day and I was like, ooh.
There are some pretty...
I think the worst laughs have condescension behind them. I don't mind a bad good laugh. I hate a good bad laugh.
Yeah. Good. If it's a real laugh, like what you want to hear is someone sounding embarrassing while they're laughing at your set.
Yeah.
Like if you have a bunch of people that sound like they should be embarrassed about how they sound right now, you're crushing.
Are you the one who posted that foreskin tying joke? Was that you who posted that?
It's Vaughn Toes' bit.
There was the laughing in that post was epic.
I gave Fonto the tag about it. He was talking about having long foreskin, and he had a bit. And I said,
it was so good.
Fonto's like one of the funniest.
Dude, he's my favorite guy. Like, yeah,
he's one of the.
Have you heard that bit?
He's headlining the Fourth Wall show last Saturday. Everyone, don't miss him. Fonto,
his
I need to start releasing
his neither doggy. God, I say that at the Improv all the time. Who the fuck is neither, doggy? I say that all the time.
But he had this it's a great bit about like having like really long foreskin, and he just had a joke. He's like, I'm going to butcher Fonto's joke, and I'm going to butcher Fonto's joke with my added tag that he does.
Butcher it.
But he has, he's like, my foreskin's so long, I don't even wear a condom. And then I just said, why don't you just say, I just tie it?
Yeah.
You should just add, I just tie it.
And he says it, and it's so good. I just tie it. And I've never seen him go up. So, like,
he's the best.
I love Fonto.
I love him.
Died watching it on Instagram.
One of the, never mind. I'm not gonna, never mind. I don't need to get into. I think he's very brave. His writing is unique and brave, and I love
definitely,
it. Yeah.
Definitely. I think about this joke Bill Burr said on his podcast once all the time. It's one of my favorite jokes. We saw the Oscars are coming out, and Bill Burr's again, I'm going to butcher Bill Burr's joke, but he's just you guys ready for the Oscars? There's going to be so many brave speeches. Oh, it's so brave how she said that thing the person said last year, just in a new way. It's so brave. He goes, that's not brave. Well, it'd be brave if somebody getting up there and being like, yeah, a lot of women got touched this year, but how about all those gold digging whores? That'd be brave. Let's see that guy get out of the auditorium alive.
That's so good.
That's so funny.
That's the
Your
spirit.
impression is great.
That's the spirit of
Fonto. Yeah, Fonto's fearless.
I love it. Yeah.
Fonto's fearless. Fonto's so fearless. He's so fearless to get up that I'm afraid of putting him up. But I'm putting him up in 2 shows, so I'm clearly not that afraid.
That's why I say
I'm brave. I'm a brave
dude.
booker.
You're a brave producer, dude.
Thank you.
Well, so am I, but I'm not really a producer because it's not my show. But I book people.
Your edgy bit is one of my favorite bits too.
Oh, I'm retiring it.
No,
I might.
You can't. Well, don't retire. That bit's
You say
great.
that until you're doing 15 at a club somewhere, and you're like, I'll dig it out at the end.
You can't retire that.
Okay.
If you're retiring it, I'll just take it.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I don't really want to get into that as to why, so we can talk, because I think I've already talked about it, and it takes too much time
show?
to talk about it. The shooter joke.
Oh, fuck people.
Okay.
All right,
People got mad at you?
No, it's a long story.
People get mad at me. I have a joke about, I have a joke where I mention school shooting, but it has nothing to do. It's like, I just have a joke that my mom is so delusionally proud of me that I could have been a school shooter and my mom would have been like, what an incredible shot my son is.
My problem is I have to choose just one. That's my problem. No, fuck people. Keep doing it.
Well, it was for
Go ahead.
You're right.
I wouldn't do the joke. Like, I was just in Florida doing shows. I won't do the joke now when I'm in South Florida because I don't want to bring it up in front of, like, people going out to have a good time who, like, legitimately suffer that kind of tragedy.
Well,
but here in Los Angeles...
That's actually what happened to me. Is I didn't realize there was a shooting that day, and I tried to do it. I was like, I don't watch the news. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Don't say sorry. But never apologize.
I know. I didn't say I'm sorry, but because I didn't know what was going on when I was uncomfortable.
Even
I was
better.
like, what's happening? So I get off the stage. And there's like,
your bit is not offensive. Your bit is very much going after, like, the nature of it.
Thank you. Okay.
So,
all right.
I don't think there's anything
Well,
wrong.
no, and I was going to say about the whole booking thing is because I book these 2 guys who are probably. Do you know who Thor Lauraganas is?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Orange County. I was just down there.
Yeah.
Actually, he and I had a conversation. You know me. I liked him. I liked him.
Well, okay, he's probably the darkest that I know, and only because he'll say.
No.
He'll say some of the most racist things that I've heard, but like
Orange County, dog.
right, but he doesn't hide it. He's like, yeah, like one of my favorite bits is just like, like, you know, you ever just notice these bad drivers have slanted eyes? Like, makes sense. Like, just stupid. Like, yeah, you just get
he
it.
has like some I did a show and he was on it like a week ago. He has like some he has some smart humor too. He's not just
no, he's smart.
He's dark and smart too. It's like
it's not that stupid than what I just said.
It's funny, but you know another thing Bill Burr said that I really think about a lot is he's like, you know, he goes, I really mind my material and like ask myself, am I saying anything wrong? I think it's great to be edgy.
Right.
But it's, you know, it's bad to like cross a line into saying like, as long as like, I think the most interesting comics are the comics who make you think about things in a way you haven't thought about them. They take something you have preconceived notions on and twist your brain about it a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
That's like that Bill Burr joke about the Oscars. We call it brave. It's like, but it's really playing to the crowd. The brave thing would be to go up and be like, go Trump. That would be
Do you
try and get out of that room. Like, I think he's doing a great job. I don't. I hate him. I would play to the crowd if I won an Oscar, but it's definitely like, you know, who's like, I'm gonna feel amped up that I did the thing that everyone wanted me to do.
No, So do you guys know who Greg Dean is? Teaches a comedy class.
No.
I mean, whatever you feel about classes, I like he does shows at the
classes.
Improv, and he says, I mean, Anthony Jeselnik started in one of his classes. I mean, he's got, I think I see a lot of these class shows, and I like his students a little more than most.
Okay.
He says that a premise is only an unpopular belief. Like, that's all. Like, what's the point of getting up there and talking about something that everyone agrees with? Like,
it's amazing how quickly I know if I'm gonna like something. It's like someone can get up and just the first line out of their mouth, I would say 90% of the time, I know how I feel about them.
Then that's a good open.
What?
You're saying comics, when they get up, like, the first thing they say, you know if you're going to like them?
Yeah, I can just tell. I can tell right off the bat.
No,
I think they might be in the 90. They might be in the large percentage that I don't like, but I can see potential as they go on. And I'm like, all right, you're just rough. You haven't gotten your delivery down. You're filling too many words. But like, it blows my mind how quickly I like know how I'm going to feel about somebody.
Yeah.
And then, so to finish the whole thing is
Thor.
Yeah, Thor. And then this other kid gets up, and he's also dark, but it was just dark back to back.
You gotta.
You got to break them up. I even said, I was like, you can't put these back to back. But after Thor went up,
there's an art to the lineup.
Oh, absolutely. And so then after Thor gets up, it was the energy in the room was so down. But like I was able to save it by saying, I just wanted to let you know that when I brought him up here, I said he was one of my favorite comics. So that helped. But then I brought up like the second most dark person. So that show was definitely interesting. And then luckily the girl who got up after those two said something funny, and she's like, I knew there were laughs in this room. And so I don't know. It was just interesting because you're right. You can't put your dark.
I gotta tell you, I was a little, this reminds me, I was a little, when we did that clean show, which I swore on. The funny thing is, I did this clean show with Krystle.
Where at?
It wasn't like stressful clean where like the audience is all church.
The bunker?
Yeah. It was like, Seth, Mormon comic, has a great podcast also, Disorganized Religion, which you can listen to me on. But he has a clean show of like, for you to like practice doing a set for late night. And I was just so confident that I'm already a clean comic that when I went up there, I didn't even think about the possibility of me swearing. And then I was the first person to break and swear in the room.
Well, he was with his little girl getting what?
No, I think he said. Well, he did. That was edgy.
Yeah,
but then he also said retarded, which I think
it is 2019. That's clean.
Sure, in a certain way.
No, but see, and you missed
there's
my
a difference in clean and politically correct. You can be politically correct or woke and be dirty and offensive, or you can be clean and politically incorrect.
Yeah. I would say I fall into clean and politically incorrect.
Yeah, okay.
But
you don't
not that far. I mean, like
no. I just had an idea for a show. Why not just have a show called The Dark Show, and you literally
dark art,
the most awful dark,
the most heart of darkness, like African American.
Yeah, do you make people uncomfortable? Oh, that's terrible.
It's on Mondays at the Improv.
Oh no!
No,
I'm canceled. I always wonder which podcast is going to be the one that gets me canceled.
No, so my favorite comedian I found because I saw him do an hour, and he's dark the whole time, but he takes you through enough of kind of a topic roller coaster, and he like weaves it together well. His name's Drew Michael. He recently put out a special.
Oh, yeah. He's very funny.
His special was there, but that hour was like seeing it live. He can there are people who can take dark for an hour and a half and love every minute of it. And I think doing a show like that and finding those people could be golden. Do
Absolutely.
For sure.
You don't have to have everyone,
But what I was going to say is I had to leave that show because I was on another show right after. So I missed the other comics. But somebody posted a thing asking who won the mic. And Krystle quickly posted somebody else who is very funny. I don't want to. But I was like, I didn't win the mic, Krystle. Really?
Well,
You cursed,
I'm just
dude.
deeply competitive. Yeah, no, I disqualified.
DQ.
yeah. But she was really funny.
Yeah, she's
you've heard her
great.
set,
She's great. She's
yeah.
on the show I'm doing tonight.
Yeah.
I haven't.
What is her name?
Veronica, I have no idea. It's the longest.
K.
Oh, yeah.
Kwiatkowski.
Yeah.
Kwiatkowski.
That's exactly why I go by
Kwiatkowski.
Chats, because I don't want anyone to be like, well, you can't remember Chats.
Well, I know most people by their Instagram handle. Like just earlier today, we were like, oh yeah, the
talking
guy
about
who
it.
runs the show tonight,
Yeah.
Wolf Stroganoff,
Yeah.
Chase Austin.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I like when I'm introducing people, when I'm hosting, I like struggling to remember their names. Sometimes I just bring them up by their Insta handle.
I've brought people like Emily Hagan. I chow one night. I was like, this next chick, Emily knows everything. Who the like? And she was almost like, oh hey, he knows who I am. But I was like, I don't know. Who
I
she
call
is,
people
you know?
their Insta handles.
Yeah.
Like Strelly.
There you go.
Steve Torelli.
Yeah.
Strelly. I call him Strelly.
Edelmeister.
Edelmeister.
The Edelmeister. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like it because it's my name, but more annoying.
Okay, guys, what an incel is
Oh yeah.
it stands for involuntary celibate. Okay? And now, Josh here decided to tell me what a volcel was.
Voluntary celibate.
Thank you. Now, it came up in conversation about the difference between just being celibate and voluntary celibate. Because and then I thought, well, religion, because like some people
That would
are,
be-
they're.
Many more voluntary celibates probably.
Well,
for a longer
I don't
time.
think that's voluntary. It's not
What?
really voluntary or involuntary.
Well, incel refer an incel when you meet one. I think there's a lot of people who think they're incels that are just picky. But there's also
Isn't this just people who don't get laid? Isn't that the point?
sort of, but yeah, but
No.
Apparently, I don't know what it is.
But you ever meet a guy who you're like, man, I just feel so bad for you that you're this. That I really want to get away from you.
Yeah.
And
I look at him in the mirror.
and I'm just like, you probably just nobody wants, you're just oftentimes they mean well and they seem nice.
Oh,
but
are we talking about looks?
No, just
all of the above.
essence.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Essence. I think incel is more an essence than even a looks thing.
So you mean they feel that they don't chase opportunity because they're just so meh?
There's this one
like
kid who's a regular at Burt's who I think he always goes up with his
I
little
get ya.
notebook and he always talks about wanting to be friends with everybody. Do you know how I'm talking? You know how I'm talking about.
Hey, look, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I don't think he's a guy who's necessarily out there who's trying to just take down women. Hey, can I take you out for a drink? I think he genuinely is I'd like to be your friend. I mean, I don't know if that's an act, but I would probably target that as a
perfect
incel.
person to look at as what an incel really is Stephen Miller. That the Trump guy, Stephen Miller. He's
comic?
No. He's the guy who works for that's the thing. Trump is an incel god. That's one of he
Have you seen Babes for Trump?
This guy?
Sure. Yes.
Really? Okay, let's pull up his image.
You said Steve Miller?
Yeah,
The Steve Miller band? That dude crushed.
No,
This
this guy.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he's a deeply awful seeming person.
But
you see him in interviews. He poured this hair stuff in his hair.
But
that
he
looked
can get
ridiculous.
bitches.
Maybe because he's got
Not
power
anymore.
right
They
now,
closed that island down, okay?
Oh, that's true.
But
Are you talking about the Hillary and Bill Clinton Island?
No, it's they were just some of the esteemed people. They had their own suite. That doesn't mean it was their island.
yeah. They just went to vacation.
They had a vacation there.
Yeah, no, I mean, I definitely on one hand do feel bad for them. I do feel like not only are they miserable and everyone makes fun of them, but also, you can't be, so you gotta you gotta learn to accept some things in life.
Well, so to be involuntarily celibate, because celibacy is choosing not to do it. So how do you involuntarily choose something? Is it just by the actions
Well, the
you
idea
choose?
is that
You suck.
no one will.
Yeah, so that's just someone who no one wants to fuck.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
That's
yes.
most people ever.
Yes. But there's a difference.
Some get lucky.
There's a difference between, like, you know, girls aren't banging down my door, but it's like not like you know, I can.
But you got tools in the box. You
exactly,
can go chat
exactly.
it up. Yeah.
I can talk. I can be.
Are you dating anybody right now?
I'm not really.
Then
Do it.
it means you kind of are. Or you were recently. It ended.
No, I'm just not currently. But maybe
he's a volcel. What he's voluntarily.
I'm not. I have a joke about being a volcel.
Oh, okay.
So, but
I say I'm a volcel because I don't want to go out into the world, try to get laid, and then discover I'm really an incel.
Oh, that's a good joke.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
Yeah.
But
so he is having sex if you want, ladies. He's not.
Yeah. I'm available.
He's DTF.
Taking applications. But.
Where do I apply? Is there a Gmail address or what?
Too tall and buff. For
Okay,
me.
fine.
I like them short and soft around the edges.
Okay.
Too tall.
So your taste is your taste is incels?
No, I'm doing a bit right now about how like if I was gonna have sex with a man, like being heterosexual. If I was going to have sex with a man, I'd be way less likely to go after like a tall, buff dude that would be classically good looking than like a short, pudgy guy. I just think if I was going to have sex with a man,
you want a beta.
Exactly. When you're a man already, you'd go after a bit. Like, does that not ring true to you, Alex? If you were gonna have sex with, if you had to?
No, I mean like game recognized game. I want someone. Look, I know where I fit with women, but if I go gay, But I'm not talking about going gay. No, I know.
I'm talking about like.
Oh no, if I'm going man, like if I'm, like that's like I don't eat sushi, so. Like, if you're like, hey, let's go get sushi, I'm like, no. But if you're like, hey, there's this restaurant where sushi's $1,000 a plate, let's fucking try it out. Same thing. No, I'm not going to go for short and
But
pudgy.
I'm saying if you're going to get sushi, the difference between yellowtail and a California roll is like is meaningless to you.
Yeah.
So I'm saying like the difference between Brad Pitt and Jonah Hill is meaningless to me. I'm not attracted to either one more than the other. I guess to your point, I'd rather be like, not only am I straight, but I fuck Brad Pitt.
At the level of...
I guess on a certain degree.
I love this.
At the level of sushi I'm eating, it's all good. Like, I don't like sushi, so that's what I'm saying is if I'm gonna eat sushi... Doesn't matter which one because I'm already in the highest. Like I'm not gonna just go and get sushi. I'm not just gonna go fuck a dude.
But if you hate sushi, does it matter if you're eating $1,000 sushi or $10 sushi?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I don't like as someone who doesn't like sushi, you're not gonna entice me with $10 sushi
because I feel like that about women.
There you go.
But you're not gonna entice me with Brad Pitt.
Yeah, okay, that's fair too.
Don't like.
Well, then why do you have a joke about fucking a dude? I don't know.
You might actually because you've never been in that situation.
Yeah, I've never been in that situation.
Brad Pitt's never put his hand
where
on
Brad
your leg.
Pitt's laying on the charms,
or a guy who looks like Brad Pitt did in his prime. Woo! Like
A river runs through it right now, huh? River running through my pants. Okay.
Well, because I've been around women that have just been so stunning. Or they've done something so charming where I'm like, I get it, you know.
But do you feel turned on? Like I definitely feel like, oh man, like I remember going to see Benjamin Button with my girlfriend when I was living in New York, and she was just so ready to fuck when we got home, and I knew in her head she was fucking Brad Pitt with her eyes closed.
Hey, but look,
and I was just a stand-in cock for that one.
But let's look at that.
So I understood. I was like, man, you know, I definitely wish I was him.
But here's the silver lining. Silver lining. She wanted to fuck you after seeing the Brad Pitt that closest resembles you.
That was good. That was good.
She's like, oh, the short old Jewy Brad Pitt? Yeah, he's fine. Sorry.
That's so
The old
bad.
man Brad Pitt. I'm just teasing you, Josh.
See, I'm too nice of a comic.
That was hilarious. I like that.
Because I
one a
was
lot.
thinking that too. I was thinking like, well, which version? He's so many.
Yeah, definitely.
people.
She definitely. I knew exactly which one she had. Like walking through the smoke.
He even made a
down that back alley, wearing the long like coat. The one I was jealous of wanting to be.
yeah.
If it wasn't giving me a boner.
What's a God? That's such a great movie. The first half of that movie, just the weirdness. It's fun.
I like that. You know, the movie gets, I think, unfairly maligned. I think it's. I mean, I don't think it's great, but I like it. I think it's
Got you
fun,
laid
like,
once, so
it got. Yeah, you know what? I also recognize that like you can't assess movies you see with a girlfriend. You can't. Yeah, because I feel like tons of movies I've liked because I got laid after. I remember this one girl. When Girls came out, I was dating this one girl, and like every Sunday we would hang out, watch Girls, and then fuck. And I was like, Girls is a great show, guys. Girls, you guys got to check out this Girls show. I don't know what it is, but I am just flying after Girls.
That is so funny.
And then season 2 were broken up, and I was like, I don't like the show. but it was almost like tainted for me because like it was almost, I felt like I couldn't even assess how I felt about the second season because like I wasn't getting. It was almost just reminding me that I wasn't getting laid.
Interesting. Do you find that like, because I was also having a conversation with somebody about how sex like really does drive men crazy when they can't get it. Do you agree with that?
does it not drive you crazy when you can't get it?
But it's so
When has Krystle not been able to get it?
Here's the thing.
it's too easy for me to get laid.
Well, yeah. With Benjamin Buttons over here, yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, here's the thing is, imagine if you went out with a guy you were super attracted to, and he just kind of put the hold on it. He's like, you know what? He kisses you, and there's some fireworks there, but he's like, you know what? Let's give it one more.
I have had that done to me.
Yeah,
before.
I think it's easier. I mean, I could be wrong. I think it's easier for a hot girl to quickly get a hot guy than for a hot guy to quickly get a hot girl.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah. Hot
Absolutely.
girls kind of get whatever they want, but the thing, wouldn't that would be a different, isn't that a good way to get your attention?
Well, I'm also the person who, whenever I've heard people say, oh, I haven't had sex in a year, and I'm like, oh.
You're like, oh, well, go fuck someone, and I'll see you next week.
Well, yeah, because I think it's interesting because I know that some people are celibate or some people go on their sexual cleanses.
Excluding one time recently, it had been a while beforehand.
How long?
I don't know
The exact day?
I don't. Yeah, I can't remember, but
Over a year?
probably.
Okay. And you were okay with that?
Yeah, I was fine with it.
Okay.
Honestly, I mean, I'm also like.
So would that be
34.
involuntarily celibate?
No, voluntarily.
Because
I guess I just wasn't pursuing it. It just it was like
involuntary is if he's actively going out to bars.
if I need to get laid and I just can't. Well, just also because of the whole incel. I think you need to legalize and organize prostitution.
Yes, that's actually why I bring it up because that's Joe Rogan talks about that on his podcast. He's like, man, do you know how much less crime there would be if you just legalize
everything? Everything is deeply confusing right now because you have a very corrupt government, but then we're like this corrupt government should be regulating things that are illegal so that they are legal so that the corrupt organizations can't be running these things. Instead, just this new corrupt organization will be running those things. So you kind of need a twofold, get corruption out of the government / legalize drugs and prostitution, but in a way that is
decriminalize, legalization.
Decriminalize.
No, so this is actually an interesting thing. I was talking with a comic about this the other day, who you would think is very
decriminalize.
Yeah. Decriminalization allows you to not go to prison for it. Legalization allows 4 people to make all the goddamn money.
Exactly.
Decriminalization, what you're talking about, is smaller government.
Weed being legalized makes me nervous.
Weed is ruined.
No, it is.
With how much weed is around and how good the technology is and how much we're focusing on it, why is it still $40 an eighth? You should be able to
know how much we sell after tax?
Well, you guys are very
75, 50.
You guys are very premium, but taxes are the reason it gets there. With how big of a business weed is, you should be able to get pretty good eighths for $20 all day long.
Yeah,
I get it.
absolutely.
So the somebody got in the
sad.
way and tacked 30%.
I miss being in New York when it was illegal because, it's hard to find things to do with your day. And getting weed was like a day long activity. You're like, all right, Tuesday,
I got to call
getting weed. Texting friends to be like, what's your guy's number? Texting them, hey,
Getting weed was like getting spots.
Hey, do you have any bubble gum I can buy from you? Fuck you, man. Don't text that to me.
Oh my God.
And then Mary told me you have that sweater I want. And then hey, Mary, is your friend okay? All right, I'll be there when I get there. Hanging out at home, playing video games, watching TV, weed guys. It felt like a productive day.
Yeah,
now it's too easy. It's what else? Now what am I going to do? I got to do other things now.
Yeah. And I have so much weed at my house right now too that it's I literally don't know what to do with
I miss
it.
video
I'll
stores.
come over. We'll hang out. We'll smoke it all of it.
It used to be
podcast.
The ingenuity of running out of weed at the time. You become like a CSI detective. You're scanning the floor with a black light.
It's so true. Smoking doobies. This guy said he would take the roaches.
It's a mixture of weed,
gross.
lint, and crumbs.
So gross.
Back to prostitution.
Yes.
Are you familiar with the law in Nevada? I've tried to talk about this a little bit lately, but
no. I mean, I just know you can do it.
no. So you can't in Las Vegas; it's illegal. So
I didn't
it's
know that.
any county with less than 700,000 people, and that's a county. So Clark County already has 2.2 million. They don't meet the specification. So the funny thing is when the government gets involved, and I'm practically working at a loose bit, sorry. But my thought on it is the government gets involved, and then you got to drive 4 hours to go fuck the granddaughter of a silver miner.
Yeah.
When in Vegas, there are high dollar, the most beautiful people in the world
That's true.
that will fuck you for money anyway, but you got to drive 6 hours to fuck a miner's granddaughter who's probably missing a
cat house,
a couple toes at a ranch.
At the cat house ranch.
Have you ever been to the Bunny Ranch?
I haven't been to any, but I tried to get a bunch of buddies when after high school graduation. I tried to get friends who would be down to go in a brothel just for fun.
Just to see what they look like.
Yeah.
See if they're missing toes.
Those HBO docs were my porn as a kid.
Yeah.
Because my parents made the mistake of giving me cable in my bedroom.
Oh.
I had a VHS that was just recordings of sex scenes from movies and Cat House. I would watch the Cat House, and then when it would rerun, I'd know where the sex scenes were to hit record on the VHS tape.
Did you ever make a mixtape for a girl?
I had a bunch of boner jams. Well, the funny thing is, I had
you did not record it.
I did
on a VHS.
Yeah, I had
this was back before the internet.
I had a Boner Jams VHS tape, and then I also had a Conan O'Brien sketch VHS tape, but sometimes I'd have the wrong one in the VHS player accidentally. So I really had two hybrid Boner Jams Conan O'Brien sketches.
How old are you?
Tapes.
How old are you?
34.
34.
If I were your age, I would probably have the exact same setup. I had something
so funny.
I had when I was younger and you get your hands on magazines and a stray DVD, I had a stash of weird shit. But if I would have been a few years older and had cable in my room, I'm 27.
Okay.
Yeah. But if I would have been I had internet.
See, I would have guessed you were older than Krystle.
It's been a rough road,
Well, you got the mustache.
Yeah.
The mustache age.
That's why I grew it, so people would think
people have more respect.
wanted to be mature,
People always, the funny thing is, people are always shocked when they hear I'm 34, and I'm I couldn't look more 34.
Yeah, but you couldn't act less 30.
I couldn't act like I have a joke that I'm like a kid who wished on his Zoltar machine to be big and then woke up and my body was like, what the fuck? This isn't Tom Hanks.
You wake up in a race car bed and you're like, am I really 34 now?
Just when you're Jewish, being big isn't as nice.
Yeah.
My back hurts. Where'd my hair go?
So how do you feel about prostitution?
I want it legalized, 100%, because my whole idea is that most girls have one customer anyways.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Let's just be honest here.
What I want in life so bad is to be an older, wealthier guy with and be one customer. I think that's fantastic. I think transactionalizing sex, just it allows you to focus on other endeavors.
Well, there's this meme out that says right now that I stopped saying "What's up, beautiful," and now I just say "What bill do you need to get paid?" Yeah, he's like, "Hey, beautiful's not working out anymore," and that's the whole thing. Is that like, it's not. Or I remember when I first got to LA, this girl was like, "I was like, what are you doing tonight?" She's like, "Oh, I'm dating. I'm dating for dinner." And I was like, wow. I was like, yeah. She's like, I just want to have a good meal tonight, so I'm going out on a date. And
how long have you been in Los
That's what I
Angeles
call
for?
visiting
10
my
years.
parents.
10 years.
It's next month. 10
Question
years.
for you. I'm just curious. Had anyone while you were here like approached you about being in porn?
No.
It never happened for you? I know so
I-
many girls who tell me like the second they got here, like a bunch of different
I was
guys.
just talking to somebody yesterday about how a bunch of porn stars are doing comedy now. You guys notice that trend?
Yeah. Stormy Daniels. I had a bit about Stormy Daniels doing comedy, but forgot.
Wait, is she really doing comedy now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to wrap it up.
I was just gonna say, take your time. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sick. Okay.
We're at an hour, just so you know, but
Okay. Cool.
slow rap. Do what you do.
Well then, so porn stars doing comedy and again, it's not that I want women to just be like, hey, how much will you pay me for a blowjob? But at the same time, I think that there are women out there who like have sugar daddies who it's almost like protecting yourself, you know? It's like
I'm a firm belief that income is not as streamlined as it used to be.
look at us.
Like,
you know?
yeah,
we get lucky
like,
when we get paid for comedy.
I know a lot. So growing up
feel
in
very
Vegas,
lucky
like,
right now.
growing up in Vegas, it's like a lot of the girls that I knew that were good looking when they were younger. My ex-girlfriend in high school, like I dated her for almost 3 years. She kind of did the escort thing and kind of turned to like the madam thing. Like she has friends, she gets girls booked on gigs, and like
wow.
it's nowadays it takes place on Instagram.
Yeah.
It's all on Instagram. Yeah.
Whenever I get a message
Hey
from like an
there.
Instagram handle that looks like a secure password, I'm like,
Exactly. I get those too.
I'm like, if only you were a real person actually interested in video chatting with me.
And that's my whole thing right now. I've been randomly just FaceTiming people, and like that's my whole bit is like because a lot of it has to do with alcohol, but sometimes I do it sober. I did it.
And you get dicks, don't you? If you randomly FaceTime someone drunk, I imagine a dick comes out.
No, that you.
I think of like chat roulette. Like
That's
back in
actually
the
one
day.
of my bits is that I say like I'm the type of girl that sends herself dick pics because like I basically I drunk FaceTime dialed this guy and he answered. He was sober, and my whole thing was like, show me your dick, you know, and he wouldn't do it, and I'm like, don't be a little bitch, you know, and then finally he like walks over to the bathroom. And when he shows it to me, I'm like screenshotting all of the dicks. Yeah, so I wake up the next morning with one eye. I'm like, are there all these dicks in my phone? Because like I'm the creep. I'm the weirdo. I'm the one who's like.
I have a bit, maybe or maybe not based on truth. I've never sent a dick pic. That part's definitely true.
Oh, congratulations!
But I've taken a bunch of them because it's like, you know, I just thought I was like looking fresh. And I was like, better to have these ready if I ever need them than be like taking one under pressure. You know,
good move.
I'm like, the lighting looks good. I've got good blood flow.
You guys are always hard, right? Yeah, it has to be hard in the dick pic, right? Like, because I've heard girls talk about. I don't know if guys.
I mean, how impressive do you want to be?
When you're Jewish, it needs to be hard because Jews are typically growers, not showers.
Okay.
I didn't know that. That's good to know.
Well, that could be our last one of our last little closing things because I always try if we get to it because you are funny. He was like, I'm pretty good on podcasts, and I'm like, you're good. This was so easy. You made this very easy. Sometimes too, I'm just like, you know, I'm just the producer, and you guys.
You got to drag people out.
So let's talk a little bit about like actually healthy stuff.
Okay.
The
healthy gossip part of this?
Yeah, the healthy.
Show.
Well, because it's a pun. Mm-hmm. So do you have any like tips? It could be about anything. It could be about food. It could be about sexual like advice.
Don't do anything I do about any of it.
Okay.
No.
Are you on a special diet?
So I'm convinced that I would be like obese if I didn't try to walk everywhere.
Okay.
Like I live about 4 miles away from here. I tried to walk here. I wasn't going to make it in time, so I called a Lyft on the way.
Okay.
I'm 4 miles from Burt's. I walk to Burt's or the Improv.
What's
like,
that walk?
How long does it
Hour?
take? It takes about an hour. I walk pretty fast. Usually, I always like whenever I do like the maps to see how far I am. Like I know I can make it. Every 10 minutes, I can cut off like a minute and a half by the pace I walk.
Right, I'm sure that has to do with being in New York too.
Also, yeah, being in New York, I'm very good at like light timing, and I do
hate slow
and I'll like
wonders.
Cross,
and I'm
one
I just I'm also constant motion. So if like I hit a light and I have a turn, I make the turn there. So these are tips, walking tips.
No, that's good.
But it also is super helpful. It's helpful in like every respect because it's like. Because I'm walking from mics to mics, I have a car. I hate driving, and I feel like I get the exercise from walking. Plus, if I just did a mic and I'm walking to the next mic, the mic I just did is fresh in my head. Walking gets like the brain like motions flowing. So I mean, I compare it to like if you have an argument with somebody. And then, like, you're done with the argument, you leave the argument, you're walking around in a huff, and you think, oh, I should have said this. This would have been the thing to say. It's almost like the open mic is the argument I just had, and I'm walking, I'm like, I should have said this. But I get the next argument to have, like, in, like, the next split mic I get to, and I get to add that tag, add that joke, add that. I do a lot of writing when I walk. So it's nice. It's like
so if you don't live close enough, what you do is you park at a mic and then you walk to the next closest mic.
Yeah.
And get that exercise. Yeah, I've noticed that too because I haven't been working out the way I used to. Like I used to work out a lot, but I live in a really great neighborhood now as well where I can walk to Burt's and other mics.
Yeah, I've seen you. When I was walking, we've said hi. We've waved. We've waved.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you're right. And then I realized, like, wow, like, how am I not like fat yet either? Because sometimes I eat a lot of carbs and I can feel myself getting bigger, but then all of a sudden I'll wake up the next day and I'm like, shit, it was because I walked like 4 miles yesterday.
Well, the worst thing that happened to me was I went and got a physical. My doctor told me all my blood work came back fine. And I was like, great party, and just started eating like shit.
Oh, that's funny.
I was like, I bought myself a year.
And you eat anything? Do you have any diet restrictions? Like, no, you're not kosher?
No, I grew up for 13 years kosher. Really? I believe that I'm probably gluten intolerant and lactose intolerant. It doesn't stop me from eating exclusively pizza. But I usually don't feel great after I eat, always. I have a really bad diet. I need to be better. I'm sorry, Mom. I know you're going to listen to this because you listen to all my podcasts.
Does she really?
Yeah.
Hi, Mom. Thanks for listening.
I try to be better.
Completely changes everything I've said.
I go in waves. I do eat healthy. I'm back. Like yesterday after the Comedy Store, I was like walking to Joe's Pizza. And then
Did you get up?
No. And then I was like, no, I'll go to Sweet Greens instead.
Oh, good.
And I got a salad.
I love Sweet Greens.
And I just went to Trader Joe's and Buck Rossi. So I'm back to trying to diet because I've been bad for too long.
Okay.
But like considering how much I walk, I should be slim. Considering I'm like soft around the edges means I would be obese. Is my impression of. I have a joke though that I'm on a new diet where I only eat my roommate's food.
That's good.
But just to the point where they aren't quite confident enough to accuse me of doing it.
That's sneaky.
Right?
What a thief. I bet you that happened because
what a meister.
I don't really do that.
Yeah, right. You've done it once though, and you're like, she'll
Did
never
it
know
today.
It's a good point. Okay, and did you say you're pro prostitution, right? That was what we closed on that.
I think it should be some form of legalized. I mean, I just think it could be. There are benefits. We're too puritanical as a society.
Okay, good. Is that also this whole thing with the incel thing?
I don't want to plug anything.
And then, ask if we want to plug anything.
Last Saturday, I'm on the fourth wall. Josh, Reed, and Jeremy have dates and need a crowd. What? You said it's coming on the 19th?
Yeah, we dropped a week from yesterday.
Okay.
Which is,
On the
19th.
22nd, I'll be at the Lee Strasberg Theater for Wild Wisecracks. Going to be an awesome show.
Ooh.
Then on the 23rd, I'll be back at the Fourth Wall for the Platinum package with Krystle. Aren't you on that show too?
Yes, I am.
With Krystle. That'll be a great one. Guys, come to that. Then the 24th, I'm on Gina's Jungle. And then I'll be in Manhattan Beach on the 28th for 2 Joke Minimum. So, and then check out Mentally Out Documentary, which is coming out some point soon. It's going to start premiering at some festivals. And
I can't wait to see that. I'll definitely be there for that. Message me too.
And follow me on Instagram, Twitter, at the Edelmeister. I don't really use Facebook. I mostly like yell jokes at nobody on Twitter and promote all my stuff on Instagram.
Okay, cool. Well, that was so much fun.
Thank you so much for having me, Krystle. Super great time. Alex, I was so happy to walk in and see you here.
It's good to see you.
I hope you guys all know the difference between incel, volcel, just regular cell. I hope you're all pro-prostitution after this. I hope you all support a local starving artist and have sex with us. And thank you so much for listening to The Healthy Gossip. I'm Krystle Chats, and we'll see you next week.